count on. This is KTAB News at 5.
One suspect is killed and the other is on the run after police in Houston exchanged gunfire with 2 burglary suspects, leaving 2 officers injured. And Abilene police are also searching for a suspect or suspects after 2 Abilene convenience stores are targeted earlier this morning. Both crimes have similarities. Plus, the Abilene City Council is looking to shift around the way they do business by reconstructing the city boards and commissions. Good afternoon. This is KTAB News at 5. I'm Stacie Wirmel. Brittany is away today. Well, Brown County law enforcement agencies are stepping it up when it comes to taking down suspected drug dealers in the area. And their commitment started today with the arrest of 2 people. That's our top story on KTAB News at 5. Adam Thunderberg and Jennifer Hollis were arrested this morning and have been charged with manufacturing and delivery of a controlled substance. Brown County officials say they caught the pair with more than 30 grams of meth while executing a search warrant in Brownwood on the 3500 block of Austin Street. This is the 3rd time Thunderberg has been arrested on manufacturing and delivery charges. And continuing our coverage on crime, Abilene police are searching for a suspect or suspects after 2 local convenience stores were targeted earlier this morning. The first theft happened just after midnight at the 7-Eleven on the 2100 block of North Treadway. APD says the suspect went inside the store and asked for change for a $50 bill. When the clerk told him he had to buy something, the suspect took the money from the clerk who was holding it and ran. And then 3 hours later, a second theft happened around 4 a.m. at the 7-Eleven on the 5100 block of Highway 277. Police are reporting almost similar stories. The suspect went into the store and demanded change for a $50 bill, then stole the cash the clerk was holding and ran. Police have not identified any suspects at this time, but are continuing to investigate. And several Abilene residents woke up Monday morning to find their car windows had been smashed. According to an Abilene police report, residents in a South Abilene neighborhood say someone smashed several car windows. The report states it happened on the 1500 block of Sycamore Street, somewhere between the times of 10 a.m. on Sunday and 7:45 a.m. on Monday. This is being worked as a criminal mischief case.
Seems like they hit every car that was out by the street that night, parked on the block, and try to park your cars up close to your house and keep an eye on it if you can. Not much else you can do, people driving around vandalizing property like that.
And police still have no suspects in this case. And like I said earlier, they are working this as a criminal mischief case. Well, swerving to avoid hitting a dog is the humane thing for a driver to do, but not necessarily the safest thing to do. Ironically, a volunteer for the Taylor Jones Humane Society found that out during the noon hour on Mockingbird Lane at North 15th Street. A driver swerved to avoid hitting a dog, but she hit a car and then her van rolled onto its side and she was trapped inside. She was not seriously hurt, but couldn't get out of her van. Abilene firemen were able to remove the windshield and get her out. Neither she, the dog she had in the van, nor the driver of the other car were injured, and the dog in the street, which started the series of events, was not hurt either. Well, 2 police officers are injured today after a shooting in Southwest Houston that left one suspect dead. Officials say it happened at a home around noon. The officers reportedly exchanged gunfire with 2 burglary suspects. The second suspect still remains on the loose and may be armed. The Houston police chief says officers found one suspect in a storage shed in a resident's backyard. When the suspect came out of that shed, he opened fire on the officers. He was shot and killed by those officers. Medical staff have reported that both officers who were injured received multiple gunshot wounds. One officer has non-life-threatening injuries with a foot injury, and the other officer is in critical condition as of news time. The search for the second suspect is still ongoing. Well, it seems as though every year somewhere in Texas gets their share of dangerous fire weather conditions. And right now that place is the Big Country in West Texas. As a precaution and big help to firefighters on the ground, seats or single engine air tankers are stationed at the Abilene Regional Airport to help with any fires that pop up. The primary role of these planes is to weaken and slow the fire in order to allow firefighters to engage the fire on the ground.
Yeah, starting last week, over the weekend, it was really critical, and this afternoon is predicted to be really critical fire danger.
Around the country, there are 75 seat pilots on standby to help fight any dangerous fires that pop up, and they generally deploy in pairs. If a fire gets too far out of hand, the bigger tankers will be called in to help as well. And this past weekend, a select few of Abilene ISD students advanced to the Skills USA State Conference. After placing gold in last week's Leadership and Skills Conference in San Angelo, students involved in Quiz Bowl as well as 3D animation will be competing in Corpus Christi at the state competition. The 3D animation category allows the students to show their role, play game, or 3D video game they've been working on for the past few months. One student told KTAB the main reason why he enjoys competing is to further his skills.
To get more experience in the skill, and the technical guys, they do a lot of stuff that they wouldn't be able to do otherwise, like jobs that they aren't qualified for yet, and so they can learn on the job. And I think it's really helpful for that.
Quiz Bowl, which is another category the students will be participating in, is very similar to a game show. They will be asked 50 questions regarding current events, history, and they will even be solving math problems. Although they say the competition in state is a lot harder, they are excited to be given the opportunity regardless of the outcome. And the Abilene City Council is restructuring the city boards and commissions. The council is determining if they need to be involved in the process or if the boards can appoint their own new members. Those groups often consider the controversial issues before they get to the city council. City officials say restructuring the boards could help some of the larger boards act more efficiently by having a larger number of people available to serve on boards still run by the city.
I think it means we have we have more candidates to choose from the boards that we are going to keep, and we'll be keeping the majority of them.
This restructuring will decide what boards and committees will still operate with city council approval and which ones will operate independently of the city. The city currently has 33 different boards and committees. And there is a new chief in town. The Brownwood City Council appointed Eddie Wood as the new fire chief. He will also act as the emergency management coordinator. KTAB's Brownwood Bureau reporter Stacie Wirmel joins us now after speaking with the new fire chief. Stacie, what can you tell us?
One name was number one on everyone's list, which just doesn't happen a lot.
Today, Brownwood City Council unanimously voted on their new fire chief, Eddie Wood.
Congratulations to you, Chief.
Started when I was 17 as a volunteer firefighter. That just kind of prepped me for the direction I wanted to go. I wanted to be a fire chief. So everything that I've done is to try to get better at doing that job.
Wood comes to the city with 25 years experience in public safety and emergency management.
I also work for the city of Azle on my off time as an administrator. So for me, that was to round me out and get me good experience in both capacities.
Emergency management means being prepared in case of a disaster.
That we're going to do in a disaster. We have to know those things in advance and be ready for it.
Taking on both roles is something Wood is confident he can maintain.
This being the county seat, everything works out of this emergency operations center. You're just connected in a perfect spot to serve as that emergency operations manager or coordinator and the fire chief.
Chief Wood is beyond excited to get started in his new role.
You know, there's one way to measure the success of an organization, and you guys have recently done that. The fire chief has been gone, and we've had some serious fires and responses. It went on without a hitch. That's the test. That's the test, and these folks have passed it. So you've got a great organization going on right now.
In Brownwood, Stacie Wirmel, KTAB News.
All right, thank you, Stacie. Chief Eddie Wood officially begins his role as fire chief on March the 27th. Well, tonight, KTAB continues our exclusive coverage of African American pioneers of Abilene. In 1866, an act of Congress allowed African American men to enlist in the Army. The 4th Infantry Regiments and the 2nd Cavalry Regiments were known as the Buffalo Soldiers. The name Buffalo Soldiers was given to them by Plain Indians. According to historians, the Indians had never seen an African American male before. Their curly, kinky hair, dark skin, and tenacity resembled that of the buffalo. That's how the name was given. Historians also say that many of the Buffalo Soldiers were either slaves or ex-slaves trying to make a living for themselves. Well, hundreds of people marched from Austin City Hall to the steps of the state capitol today to push back against legislation to ban so-called sanctuary cities in Texas. The group directed their chants at Governor Greg Abbott, who made the sanctuary policy ban one of the session's emergency items. The hosts were Reform Immigration for Texas Alliance, or RITA. After they rallied, they marched inside the Capitol to visit lawmakers' offices.
So our biggest concern is that Texas, in a lot of ways, and our state leadership is following the same path and the same rhetoric that Donald Trump has been pushing since the presidential elections. And one of those is the sense that immigrants don't belong in this country, or that they shouldn't be here. And we really do. I mean, we're part of this great state. We're part of the United States.
President Donald Trump is expected to sign a new refugee and immigration executive order Wednesday. Immigration is reportedly among the 11 bullet points Trump plans to cover in tonight's primetime address to a joint session of Congress. Well, don't forget about a developing peacemaking opportunity right here in the big country as the Abilene community also gets ready to help refugees overseas. It all begins this Thursday, March 2nd, when KTAB News will make you aware of the specific plans to deliver food and hope to refugee families in Iraq. We encourage you to watch the Abilene Food and Hope Forum live on KTAB News at 6:30. Immediately after KTAB News at 6, Danny Sims with Global Samaritan Resources will moderate the forum, which includes 4 panelists. Still ahead on KTAB News at 5, the importance of a well-balanced diet during flu season in today's Smart Woman Report. Plus, do you get gas before or after your gas light goes on? Experts say it matters. We'll tell you why. But first, Sam has another look at the forecast. It was gorgeous today. I had the windows up before I got to work.
You bet. And I like that well-balanced diet. That means a rib in each hand.
That's what I'll
there
take
you go.
that.
That's a well-balanced. Hey, and I tell you what, we're fixing to flip the calendar into March, and of
My
course,
birthday month.
I know that it also gets closer to the severe weather season. Skywarn training